big cultural difference that I noticed when I first arrived here. It's really normal, and I guess that's pretty much how everybody eats here. I didn't see anyone using drugs. I just saw like once in Seoul a drunk guy. Oh. This is a common landscape in pretty much every single city I've been here. Like, my instant reaction would be like, this person is gonna rob me, 100%. People always told me that Koreans are not the friendliest people, and they're very shy. And right at the corner, there are some crazy mega skyscrapers. Good morning, guys. How are ya? Today we're going to talk about 10 things that really surprised me here in Korea. Today is my last week here in Korea. I've been here for 9 weeks now, and there are some really interesting things that I've noticed. Now, I'm from Brazil, and I lived in Australia for the past year, so I think this will be my perspective on these things. I will always compare to back home in Brazil and to some things that I experienced in Australia. I think the first big cultural difference that I noticed when I first arrived here is in relation to some mannerisms, especially when eating. This was a big one for me. Slurping is really common in Korea, and I mean, since they eat a lot of noodles and soups, it's kind of like the way they eat stuff, you know? But I remember my parents like always telling me like, don't slurp, don't make noises when you eat. This is impolite, this is that. And I really have vivid memories of my parents controlling me in relation to how I eat. But here, it's really normal, and I guess that's pretty much how everybody eats here, especially because they eat a lot of ramen and a lot of soups. So this was a big one that first hit me when I arrived here. Second one, another thing that really impressed me is the temperature difference here. So the summers are brutal and the winters are also brutal. I'd say that my region in Brazil is pretty mild, and the area that I lived in Australia is also pretty mild. But here, it gets so cold so quickly, and then it gets so hot. There's a cat there. Oh. Oh. Oh my god, this cat is so fat. Anyway, it gets so hot so quickly. Like, summer here is like 35 degrees, and it's humid, and it's like you're in a stove, you know, in an oven, you know, and it gets cold after that like so quickly as well. So winter is like -5 degrees, you know, and it snows a lot. So this is a big thing here. The temperature gap is huge. It's literally huge. Summers are way too hot compared to most countries, and winters are way too cold also compared to most countries. That's a big one for me. Now, one thing that I absolutely love about Korea is the size of the buildings. I love how they build stuff here. They really don't care about how tall the buildings are. So you go to neighborhoods that are in the middle of nowhere, and you're gonna see high-rise skyscrapers mixed with rice fields. So you see rice fields, and then you see a building that is like 40 levels tall, right next to each other. And this is something that I absolutely love, because most countries have housing problems, and this is like a really good way for you to solve any housing problems, you know? I think Koreans understood that they have a pretty small country and a relatively big population for the size of the country. So they understood that if they don't build up, there's not going to be enough housing, you know? And I love that because you can feel how modern it is. Everything is modern, everything is new. The buildings are tall. I have this feeling of like I'm in a developed place, you know? You can see around. This is a common landscape in pretty much every single city I've been here. Big condo apartments and nice parks, nice walking areas. This one is particularly nice because I think they built like a mini fake river here. I think there's no water here now, but this is like a fake river, and it's just like super pleasant. So I love the neighborhoods here. One thing that was really big for me is how Koreans greet each other. I was raised in a household and by a family that we hug each other all the time and we shake hands, and like in my country, like you have to shake hands, you know. And if you're like even remotely connected to a person, you usually hug them, you know. So coming here and seeing that nobody really hugs each other and shaking hands is rare was pretty different for me, you know, because my girlfriend is Korean, and I often when I meet her family, I often go for a hug, and like they don't do this here, you know. And this is a big difference for me. I think that's the thing that would take a really long time for me to get used to. So what they do instead is that they just bow, you know, they just do this and that's it, you know. It's like hello, this, and that's it. So that was a big one for me. One thing that really had a huge effect on me was the food. I just didn't go to the toilet like properly in the last 2 months, and I think it's because the food here is really spicy and they eat a lot of vegetables and a lot of fiber. So if you're like sensitive to that, watch out when you come here, because Korean food is often strong, you know, lots of spices, high on fiber, lots of vegetables. It's really delicious, but yeah, it had an effect on me, you know. And plus the fact that it's completely different from anything I've ever tried. I'd say that like the main Korean dishes are very different from what I usually have at home. So that was a big one. One really big thing for me is the safety here. Comparing to my country, where very few places are extremely safe, here is just incredible to see how safe it is, you know, and to see little kids taking public transport and nobody cares at night, you know. Like yesterday I went for a run and I was in a pretty desert street. There was no one, and there was a bike coming on my way, and my instant reaction in my hometown would be to freak out, you know. Like I'm lonely, like I'm by myself, it's dark outside, and there's a bike coming on my way. Like my instant reaction would be like, this person is gonna rob me 100%. But here, like, it's just extremely safe. It's really street safe, you know. There are no drugs, no homeless people. Really rarely robberies happen, you know. So yeah, it's super safe here, and it's the best feeling ever. It's like I feel like every society should be as safe as here, you know. This is how to live life, you know. I've been here for 2 months, and I think I saw one homeless people in Seoul, and it was only in Seoul, because like this city here, we're in Jeonju, there was none. I didn't see anyone using drugs. I just saw like once in Seoul a drunk guy sleeping on a bench. That was it. And a guy begging on the subway station. Besides that, I haven't seen anything else. Everywhere else I've been looks like this, you know, just peaceful. Sometimes kids playing around, and families and people are going for walks, and yeah, just like a really peaceful vibe. Now, another thing that I knew Korea was famous for, but I didn't expect to be this way, are the cars. So Korea has a pretty big and very decent car industry. They have apparently 3 major brands: Kia, Hyundai, and a premium like version of Hyundai that is called Genesis. And the cars here in Korea are extremely nice. Like you rarely see old cars, and you can very often see like really fancy cars, you know. So we're in a pretty let's say smaller city, and we can, I'd say, often spot some like extremely nice cars, and here and there we see like a Lamborghini. So I think Koreans care about their cars, you know. They want to drive stuff that is nice. They want to, according to my girlfriend, they want to show off. But I don't know, the feeling that I have is just that overall the cars here are very nice. I'd say that the vast majority of cars are very new, and there's a lot of European cars, a lot of BMWs, a lot of Audis, and yeah, It's something that I didn't expect. Now it's a little bit late at night already. I did some stuff in the meantime, but just as you can see, the temperature difference here is crazy. It was really warm and comfortable during the day. Now at night, I'm really dressed for winter. But look at this street, how nice looking it is. So now, the other thing that I have to talk about is in relation to Korean people. So this was one thing that surprised me. I kind of had an expectation that Koreans would be nice people, but I got really surprised to see how nice Koreans are. Everybody speaks English to me, everybody smiles to me. The customer service is really nice. Everybody has been extremely polite. I think that's a really big thing here. People are very polite, and it's different from the stereotype that I had. So like, people always told me that Koreans are not the friendliest people, and they're very shy, and they're not gonna openly talk to you. And I just had the opposite experience. People have been very friendly. People have always talked to me, and they like speak English when they don't have to speak, and that's really nice, you know? Imagine you go to, like, imagine a Korean going to an English speaking country. I think people wouldn't receive them in the same way that Koreans receive tourists here, you know? I don't think anybody would stop speaking English in an English speaking country just to please a Korean tourist. But they do this here, you know? And this has been really nice. Plus the fact that everybody smiles, and I have felt a really good vibe overall. Now, another thing that is extremely noticeable. This one is a little bit boring, but I just saw this everywhere and I need to comment. There are cafes everywhere, in every single corner, in every single neighborhood, in every single part of the country. And there are like all types of cafes possible. There are like Hanok cafes, there are busy cafes, there are quiet cafes, there are fancy cafes, there are like everyday cafes, there's like studying cafes, studying rooms, everything. So it's just impressive, you know. There's like every single type of cafe you could possibly imagine. Look at this bus stop. They have the lines here. It's all written in Korea, obviously, but they have some stuff written in English, like here. And they have these like mega screens where there's nothing coming on, but they put the list of buses here, and they have some ads here, and that's it. And I reckon, I'm not sure, I reckon you can top up your bus card here. Maybe, I'm not sure. Or you can tap on here, I don't know. But nice bus stop. Not every single bus stop is like this. The one, especially the ones in the countryside, are very rural, you know. There's nothing, but that one was a really nice bus stop. Now we're walking to a park, and I'm gonna tell you what is the last thing that kind of shocked, or like that kind of went on the opposite direction from my previous expectations. Now, another thing, everybody knows Korea is famous for its skyscrapers and big cities and economic development. But one thing that I didn't think about coming to Korea was the nature. And that's really something that was a big surprise for me. I'm now in one of the nicest parks there is here in our neighborhood here in Jeonju. And Korea really has a mix of city life, urbanization, with nature and mountains and rice fields. And I think Koreans really enjoy the nature their country has, especially on summer. So they go to rivers, they go to waterfalls, they go to the beach. And I only thought of Korea as a place with big cities and cold weather, but my experience here was absolutely the opposite. There are birds flying around, there are ducks in this lake. These are lotus flowers, and this lake is really, really beautiful when these flowers blossom. And right at the corner there are some crazy mega skyscrapers. So that's absolutely amazing, and yeah, it was incredible to hike on some mountains here. It was incredible to visit the beaches. So don't underestimate the beauty of Korean nature and the beauty of this country, you know. So that was it. That was it for today's video. It was just a glimpse on my experience here in Korea. And yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you think? What are your thoughts if you've been here in Korea? If you disagree with me. And our next destination now on Thursday is New Zealand. So I'm going to New Zealand to spend a year there. I'm going to work in holiday visa. So I'm planning to make some really nice videos, exploring around the country, finding jobs, trying to make friends and meeting people. So I think that's gonna be a really nice chapter of this channel. So keep tuned. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? And I'll see you in the next one. That's it. But look at this park. This is like, let's say, our backyard, you know? This is our building. This is this park. I don't know what is the name of this park, but it's crazy. It's beautiful. There are snakes here. There are ducks. There are fish. There's fish. There is like everything. What a beautiful country.
Hello! Hey!
맞아. 재밌어.